Directed by Luca Guadagnino, starring Zendaya, Mike Face, and Josh O'Connor, challenges a spicy sports drama centered around Tashi, a tennis player turned coach who has transformed her husband from a mediocre player into a world-famous Grand Slam champion. To jolt him out of a recent losing streak, she makes him play challenger event. Tensions soon rise when he stands across the net from the once promising, now burnt-out Patrick, his former best friend. Let's get right into it, you pervs and degenerates.
You're nasty.
The marketing for this movie has been really centered around this image right here. It's been literally called the Zendaya threesome movie on the internet. I've even heard that while I was watching a movie in the theaters and the trailer played. And the marketing really leaned into it, and that's what a lot of people were expecting. And while the movie is spicy, it has sexual tension you can cut with a knife. The sexual content is not what people were expecting. I think we have a Jennifer's Body situation here. Do you guys remember when Jennifer's Body came out? Megan Fox was like the hottest woman in the planet for preteens and teens at the time. We all went to watch the movie for.
You're recording.
For research purposes.
And the movie didn't end up being as salacious as a lot of people thought, and I think that hurt that film, and it ended up becoming a cult classic because people appreciated what it was for what it was later, and I think that's what's going to happen in Challengers. After about 10 minutes of setup, this movie really gripped me from beginning to end, and it works on multiple layers for multiple reasons. Let's start with the script and the screenplay from Justin Kuretse. He did a great job crafting something that was really fascinating. It has realistic dialogue, very layered characters that you will root for at one moment in the film, and then later on when you find out information about them, you'll turn on them and just flip-flop throughout the film as the film progresses and you find more information out. The exploration of these three main characters and everything that's going on with them individually, and then also how they interact with each other, is fantastic and is the core of the movie. This movie demands your attention. There's so many little details that happens in this film that gets revealed to mean something more later on the film. If you miss it, it'll have you feeling like this.
I didn't get Inception. Oh!
And to add on to that, personally for me, I think my bladder almost failed me for this movie because I made sure, I was like, let me go use the bathroom before I go check this movie out. And I did. And like around the third act, my bladder was like, no, you're gonna have to go again during the movie. And I was like, no, so much crap is happening. I don't want to go. And as soon as I got up to go, when I thought it was a pee break moment, Zendaya said like some oh my god moment, dropped the bomb, and I almost turned back around. And let's talk about Zendaya. She's a damn star. She is fantastic in this film. She anchors the film so well. She portrays this kind of overachieving star, a sports star prodigy that only can think about the sport and how to be the best in strategies. And we all know those people who just get engulfed in whatever profession they're in, and that's all they can talk about. And when you want to just have like some chill time, maybe talk about a show or reality TV or a book you're reading, they just turn it back into that sport and how they can evolve. And it's just really grating and hard. Like, you're fascinated by them. Like, wow, you're overachieving. You're like, not even overachieving, you're achieving so much and you're so good. But also it's like, that's not the whole world. That's the type of character Zendaya plays, and she does a perfect job doing it. She also does it while also being commanding in every scene she is in, manipulative as a character. And while I always thought Zendaya was a cute person, cute girl, she was damn hot in this movie. The director made sure of that because a lot of it is these two guys fawning over her, thinking she's the hottest thing ever in the world. And when I first saw them talking about it, I was like, what? But then there were certain scenes I was like, okay, Zendaya, I see you. Mike Face and Josh O'Connor do a great job of portraying these prodigies of tennis that are very toxic and complicated and layered just as much as Zendaya. And all three of them have fantastic chemistry. Honestly, there's sexual tension in every scene with all three of them. Whether it was Josh O'Connor and Mike Face together, I was like, yeah, just kiss, guys. Just like, come on, we see it. Or it was somebody, Mike Face was Zendaya. It just, all three of them together was sexual tension, or them individually with each other was just sexual tension. It was just sexual tension throughout the film between all of them, and they all did a great job. But these two really did a great job of portraying these characters in very different ways. They both have very different personalities, even though they had like a really great bromance at the beginning of the film. And the way their characters grow from the beginning of the film towards the end is really great and fascinating, and I really enjoyed their performances. I was really rooting for their bromance, man. Bros for hoes, you know what I mean? Luca Guadagnino is a director that I've only seen one previous film before, and that's Bones and All, which I call Bore and All because it almost put me to sleep. but damn did he really do a fantastic job directing this film. It's kinetic, it's steamy, it's drama filled, it keeps you engaged with how he captures his shots and how beautiful it is. And before this movie, my knowledge of tennis was this. But after this film, I felt like, damn, I want to go watch some tennis matches, because what he did here was make it very exciting, thrilling, very innovative for a sports film, and some of the things he did with the camera work and placement, and a lot of what he did with the editing was really, really, really insane to me. I was like, how did he pull that off? It was just fantastic. And I think he did a great job of making this movie accessible to casual audiences while making it artsy for the film bros and girls out there for the most part. I think that there's certain parts I'm going to talk about later in this review that it might be divisive. And let's get into that. Let's get into the divisive moments of this film that's going to make or break this film for many people that are going to watch this film. The moments in the film and parts of the film, the details of the film, outside of the fact that the movie is not as steamy or sexually structured as people think because of the marketing. Film plot structure, I think, is something that's going to make this or break the film, because this film is not a linear film. It's a film that's over the course of 13 years, which makes the film feel like it's based on a true story, even though it's not. And the way it jumps back and forth between the timelines, because it's like 3 different timelines that all connect together that lead to this finale, really makes things that you're like, okay, this is a regular scene, but then they cut to something and they cut back and like, whoa, this has more meaning and intensity than I actually thought there was there. And it just adds layers and makes you learn more about the characters at certain points, so you're like, oh, that's what you did. And that was what I was talking about, you know, you liking a character at first and then turning your back on that character later on, the way they flip back and forth. And what's also great is the acting in these scenes, because some of the scenes that are 13 years in the past from the present day that we're watching, these characters look younger. They did a great job for the most part. Sometimes at first you got to get used to it, like, okay, I get what they're doing here in terms of trying to make them like younger, but you can see the mannerisms, how they act, their voices and everything. They do a really great job of doing their best to make these people who are older look younger in those scenes, and then you can see the growth throughout the film. But what they do as the movie progresses, they stop holding your hand with the time jumping and stop marking it. And I think that for some people who like more linear storytelling, more straightforward storytelling, where it just goes in the timeline and leads to the finale, may be turned off by this. For me personally, I thought it was brilliant and made this movie instantly rewatchable for me, because now I want to pick up things maybe that I didn't catch the first time watching it, because there's so many little details that you see in a normal conversation that gets put back in later, or like someone wears a shirt and then you come back in a future scene, you see that another person wearing that shirt, and you're like, wait, how did that happen? So I really, really liked the way it was jumping back and forth, and it forced you to engage with the movie in a different way than most times movies make you engage with it. The second part is the ending. I think the ending is going to be the strongest part that's going to be divisive in this film, because like I said, for 90% of this film, I feel like he balanced the artsiness of the film and the mainstream appeal. But that ending, I feel like it went full artsy. And I can see a lot of people who wanted something more grounded, more realistic, more, not, I don't want to say thought out, because I thought it was really thought out, but just something that was more fulfilling for, in a realistic way, not being satisfied and make it feel like they wasted their time. I even heard someone in the theater with me say they wasted their time watching this film. And for me, it was jarring. It was jarring at first, but then when I went on my way home and I started thinking about the movie, compiling my thoughts for this review, I ended up loving it, because I started understanding where that came from and my personal enjoyment of things with the characters. I really, really liked it. But I know for a lot of people, it's not going to work. In the last bit here, I'm going to talk about the soundtrack. I've seen a lot of praise for the soundtrack before going to this movie. Unfortunately for me, it didn't work. I did not like the soundtrack or the score for this film. I didn't feel like it fit a lot of scenes. And even if it didn't fit a lot of scenes, I think the main part that was a problem, it was just too loud. There were certain scenes where people were having conversations that I wanted to hear because I felt like it was pivotal to the story, that it was just really, really loud, and it was sometimes you could barely hear what they were saying. I was like, damn, I need subtitles now. I really want to watch this movie over again with subtitles on the screen, because it's not all the time. It was like they picked particular scenes to do it in, and I don't know if it was an artistic choice. Maybe we weren't supposed to fully hear what that scene was saying, but I just didn't really care for the music that they used. Mostly, there was like one song that I liked, but other than that, the score was not, it didn't do it for me. But for others, it might pump you up, it might get you into the scene, it might set the mood for you, but for me it did. If the soundtrack and score was better, this movie would have been
perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
I do think Challenge is worth a trip to the theaters. It's exciting, it's steamy, it's sexy, it's messy and toxic in all the ways that you love a good drama to be. And it's a really great movie to talk to your friends with after. There's gonna be a lot to discuss. Even if you dislike parts of the film, even if you don't like the ending, the lead up to it, you're gonna be talking about after the film. There was tons of people leaving, and I heard many different conversations with this film. So definitely go check this out in theaters. I really had a great time. I thought the movie was almost perfect. And with that said, I'm gonna give it a B+. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate Challenges if you saw it? Let me know in your comments down below. And if you have not seen it based on my review, are you gonna go check it out? Like the video if you like my review. Attack that subscribe button so you can join the Zach Attack Nation and hit the notification bells and you know for my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much, much more. You can watch more of my content right now.